What's going on? It's your boy Expat D. So, have you ever heard other YouTubers talking about moving abroad and they make it sound so easy? Just get a job, just get an online job, just do da 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 da, right? And they say something and they make it sound like it's really easy. Oh, just start a YouTube channel or just get an online job, da 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 da. And you might feel to yourself like, they're making it sound so easy and nothing really sounds practical. So now I want to talk about three things that you can do and live abroad. And I'll only talk about the things that I've personally seen that works. Okay. There's a lot of industry that is hot in different countries. This could be very country specific, but number one thing I'll talk about is teaching. Now, here's the thing. That's what I did, and there's a couple different tiers of teaching. There's where you teach English as a second language. That's what I started initially doing. That was it depends on where you go. It could be a lower barrier of entry. It could just be taking a TEFL, getting a TEFL certificate, teaching English as a foreign language. And there's some countries you can go to, and they don't care if you have a college degree. Some do, some don't. Um, when I went, I had a college degree, but I really wanted Africa at the time, so I started in Ethiopia. It didn't pay a lot of money, and then just through my journey, I saw that if you got a regular teaching license, like you're qualified for the states, those jobs were making like five, six times the amount that I was getting paid. And I was like, wow. So I ended up going back to the States. And here's the thing, I was like almost giggling in my classroom, like as a student, right? Just kind of looking around like, I can't believe what I'm doing here is going to get me that. Because I saw I was blessed enough to see the end result. Um, People really weren't tripping off of teaching in the States. They're like, you want to be a teacher? Right? And it's not a very glamorous job, but when you do it overseas, it is freaking amazing. I mean, some of the perks that you get, like, there's, depending on the school and the job, I've gotten free housing, I've gotten free cars that come with a contract. I've gotten free airline tickets, like round trip every year. I've seen ones where, yeah, it just depends. I've seen ones where they give you free lunch. It just depends on the school and the contract, but they've got some pretty good stuff. But that's the thing. That's something that if you wanted to get some experience, it's not hard in the States. There's a lot of teaching shortages. If you want to get a degree, they've got teach grants. Um, it's it's not hard to get into teaching. Now, actually, getting an international contract, that varies. That's a whole market within itself. I could make separate videos on that. But number one that I've seen teaching, um, just know a lot of people, they assume I teach English. I don't. I've seen all kind of things. I've had people at my job, they teach culinary arts, right? Psychology, um, sociology. Some teach English, some computers, technology. So there's a lot of different things that you can teach, just like in the States. So it doesn't have to be just English, and you make decent money, especially compared to what locals make. You could do pretty good being a teacher. But that's something I've seen that's practical. Okay, number two that I've seen work is related to the military. So here's the thing. Let's say you're in the military And a lot of people, what they do is they stop the military and they find the equivalent of what they were doing in the military, and they do it in the private sector. So let's say that they were whatever, they were like a jet mechanic or something, right? They would end up doing that in the private sector and not directly through the military. It's typically, I mean, those that done this, they correct me if I'm wrong. Typically, you might be able to negotiate for better money, but they have a lot of independent agencies around the world that, I mean, I've seen ones where you're just like, uh, it really ranges on the things that you can do. Some are like laying like rebar and stuff. Some were doing almost like manual labor type things. Some were dealing with like, let's say like a mechanic. It's a lot of different things that you can do. You um, really have to understand these different independent agencies that will hire those military type jobs independently. Okay, and then number three, last thing I'll mention, this is something that falls in line with consulting along that realm. So if you're doing something that's dealing with like consulting, if you're dealing with even like fitness, let's say you're doing something with fitness, it could be like creating meal plans for people, helping people calculate their macros. That's something that is kind of like consulting. If you're doing taxes, taxes is something that easily could be done digitally, and that could be done anywhere. You probably want to get your customer base first in the States, and then you can transition your services abroad. Or what you can do is you could be in the States when around tax season, and then uh, be out of the States for the those other periods where you're just dealing with like more like business taxes and things like that. But any, those type of jobs can be transitioned or done virtually. Anything that's kind of like consulting, like tax preparation, of course, like being like a virtual assistant, these are all things that can transition well abroad. Um, what what kind of reminds me of teaching, but I really haven't tried this, or I haven't talked to anyone that's successfully done this. It's just telephone customer service. A lot of those jobs have went virtual, and a lot of them may pay like 12, 14, $15 an hour, right? And in the States, that's like, that's not enough money. You take that to Southeast Asia, you're balling, balling. That type of region is one where you can pay your rent for a couple $100. They've got fast internet. If you had a job where, and here's the thing, those jobs hate when a lot of people don't like working the overnight shift. And if you were to get that and work the overnight shift abroad, that would be daytime there. So you could have a slow shift overnight there, but during the day where you are, probably get paid a little bit extra because it's considered the overnight shift, and it would be pretty good. The problem with that is how they would track that, if they track that. So that's almost like something that someone would be willing to test out and try. But what I mean is that job is low-hanging fruit. In the States, it doesn't not considered to pay that much, but you can have a job like that and be balling in multiple countries. Okay, but There's that one, there's risk involved. It's risk involved where if they happen to track, VPN and all that stuff, and I'm not if I were really serious about that, I'd probably, I'm just throwing this idea out there. I'd probably try to hire some like hacker or something that understands like VPNs and how to be kind of undetectable, or really like invest in your having like a certain IP that will read like you're in the States, and mastering that aspect. Then I would, if I knew I had that, I would try it. Anyway, that's my ideas. But just to recap, teaching, excellent idea abroad. Um, Private military type work, and then number three, anything related to consulting, or it has that framework of consulting that can be virtual. Anyway, I'm Expat D. I'm going to end things here. Um, if you found this video beneficial, let me know in the comment section. If you're someone that understands like the private military type jobs that is offered, or the names of those organizations, let me know in the comment section. Yep, I'm going to end here, and I'll see you in another video. Peace and I'm out.